This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fights. I am William Hill, delighted to be joined with the WBC #1 featherweight contender, Nick Ball. I mean, we'll get onto that in a minute, but how are we? How does that feel and how's everything been?
Yeah, sounds good. Everything's okay. How's things with you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. All the better for speaking to you. I suppose we'll just touch on your last performance to say that got you this WBC #1 position. Unanimous decision win in Belfast on a big bill. Reflecting on that now, it's been been about 3 or 4 months now since that. So, how was that as a feeling for you, and how excited are you now to get that win and push on for even more? And now Lamati's obviously safe and well as well.
Yeah, it was good. It's another step closer to the world level in it, where I'm going and where I'm at as of now. But yeah, it's good to get the rounds in again. I went 12 rounds and got the stoppage at the end, so it's a win-win. I learned a lot in that fight. Yeah, so it's good and it's going to be a good moving forward in it, doing them rounds. For the fights that I'm going to be in.
For someone for a boxer, obviously, like you, who's a big puncher, you think you've stopped your last five. The cliche is that we always want the rounds in and this and that. But for someone like yourself, you get the rounds in and you get the stoppage as well. So for stuff like that, is that like a complete performance in the way you look at it?
Yeah, but I'd be lying if I said here I want the rounds in. Any boxer to you is lying to you if they said they want the rounds in. Obviously we all want a knockout, and that's what everyone wants watching as well. They want to see a knockout, so it's always good to get a knockout. But yeah, the rounds, they're good to have, but obviously we're never going for the rounds. We train for the rounds, but we're going for the knockout every time. I am. I can't speak for anyone else, but I'm not looking to do no rounds. I'm gonna try and get you out of there.
100%, definitely. And you look at the bill that you was on with the main event being Luis Alberto Lopez versus Mick Conlan. These are two guys that you could in the future definitely share the ring with, either of them. But taking that away and looking at a world title and being involved in a world title fight week, was it how was that as a feeling for you?
Good. It's where I belong, and it's where I'm gonna be very soon as well, because I'm like #1 now. So I've got to get used to that and used to the fight week and things like that, as you said. But it feels right. It feels like it's meant to be like that, because it is, and it's going to pay off as well. So it's all in good stead for what's coming, because it's not far away. Definitely not.
And I know you look at those two and you keep eyes on them that you want to fight them one day, but do you ever look at their the fight week that they were involved in and sort of manifest that, whilst Luis Alberto Lopez and Mick Conlan are there now, give me time, that'll be me, and the fight week will be all surrounded around me.
Yeah, definitely. I always think that. I always think like this is going to be me. Like looking at people topping their own bills and things like that, selling out big arenas. I'm always thinking this will be me one day. Just keep doing what I'm doing, and everything will pay off. And I feel like where I am in my career now, it is, and I've just got to keep doing what I'm doing and working hard, and it will. That will happen.
When would you say you started really thinking about that? Like the times of, almost manifesting yourself and being in the positions that one day I'm going to be one, like the realistic proposition of me fighting for a world title will be very soon. How long would you say, was this something that you started literally when you first turned pro, or just you started when you get started Frank Warren? When was the switch for you? Was it, if there ever was one?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be doing this interview with you now, or doing any of the past ones. Like, if I didn't think I'd be getting to this level and world level, I wouldn't have started off. That's always the goal. Could you say to get to that level and the level where I'm at now? I always believe that you've got to believe in yourself and make it happen. You've always got to think that, not before it happens. So that's always been on my mind. That.
Was this confidence, have you had this, you say, your whole life then?
Yeah, definitely. You get confidence, like self-confidence, like in certain ways. But with me, it's how hard I work.
Yeah.
That gives me confidence, and then obviously using that on in fights and things like that, and in spars, you see where you're at with people and their confident boosters and things like that. But yeah, hard work, hard work's the main thing for me. Like.
Was there anyone where you talk about the spars and that, and you think about, was there ever a time where you your first big spar and you're sparring someone where you think like, I'm in here with really, really someone tough?
Yeah, I sparred Josh Warrington. And it was before I can't even remember when it was. It was a while ago. Like could have been like 2 years ago, something like that, year and a half. But he was obviously at world level, and I was just coming up, and I didn't really know. Like obviously, I knew what I was about. Do you get me? But I've never really been in with a world champion or sparred a world champion at this point. And I was going down there. I remember sparring him, and then after it, being like, yeah, this is where I'm at. This is a confidence booster type of thing. It shows you where you are in your career. When you spar someone like that.
100%. Well, we'll talk about where you're at in your career now. Sort of as of the last time, number one in the WBC. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work to get there. And you think being the number one in the WBC with the dedication and hard work it took, this is really only the start of what you really want to achieve, where you're now going to force yourself into a position where you're getting called for mandatories and this and that. And we see that the champion, Ray Vargas and Brandon Figueroa as the interim champion. How does it feel now to be the number one in WBC when you at this point in your career?
Good, because it's showing everything's paying off in it. I was I got the WBC belt, the silver belt against Isaac Lowe, and then obviously I've defended it 3 times since. And each defense is still there, mate.
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, went off then. Yeah, each defense it's put me up the rankings, and now I'm obviously ranked number 1 now, and in line for a world title shot. And as you said, it's only the start, because I've got the silver belt, but we'll come up for that the green and gold belt. That's the main belt, and the best belt in boxing, in my opinion. So I'm not too far off that. And yet, whoever the champion may be, then get me in with them.
And especially for someone like you, where you think about obviously the Isaac Lowe fight, where people knew how good you were, but Isaac Lowe was sort of, not in a rude way, but he was sort of the bigger name, where it was people almost deemed that as a risk, but you really proved your worth, and you showed that you belonged at that level, and you showed that where you're at after that fight. So taking the risks for the big fights, and even though you would have 100% believed you'd win that on a big stage like that, and now you've pushed on since then. It must have been a good feeling. And did you feel like that in a way where people sort of not writing you off, but people were more backing Isaac Lowe in that fight?
Yeah, everyone was. The only people who weren't was the lads in the gym.
Yeah.
And the close people around me, they knew what I'm about. But obviously, to the world outside looking in, that I haven't proved myself to no one. So it's only right they're going to think that he was going to win. So I can't really blame them. But it was my time to show them, and I feel like I've done that. I'm doing it on the biggest stage possible, with Wembley. So yeah,
and
now everyone knows.
For someone like when you turned over pro, a lot of it was in the nightclubs and the centers and the small hall circuits, and then you worked yourself to your position where now you're signed with Frank Warren, and you're definitely getting a big push from them. So does this feel somewhat almost sweeter in a way, getting pushed into these positions, and you're almost having to work 10 times harder than someone who would have got signed just after their pro debut?
Yeah, definitely. Because as you said, I've come up on them shows, the ticket selling shows. So I've earned it. Where I'm at now, it didn't just happen overnight. I've earned the position where I'm in, so I would have rather done it the way I've done it instead of just given it. I've had to be on them shows, the small shows, selling tickets, things like that, working my way up, and then now it feels much better that I've earned it.
100%, definitely. And someone else who's on sort of a similar path to you, and someone very similar to you, fought on Friday, is obviously Nathaniel Collins, and your names are 2 that are always side by side with each other. Whilst this fight doesn't have to happen now, getting your name attached with him, and potential rivalry in the future, is it good to be sort of involved and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. Anyone in that weight, and with the same stable and things like that, fights can be made, can't they? And especially that one, everyone's speaking about it. But I'm obviously doing my thing, and he's doing his thing. And if we're gonna meet, we'll meet. But that'll be at the top at world level, where I'm at, ranked number 1. So we should meet one day if he gets there.
Exactly. And as I said there, especially at his fight week when he was fighting Raz this week, the name on everyone's lips was Nick Bull. Everyone was asking about Nick Bull. He didn't say he was saying, I don't even want to say your name. So getting these rivalries already, it must be a good feeling as well when when eventually you could meet.
Yeah, definitely, because it's going to make the fight that extra kick in it. It's going to bring more to the fight, and maybe bring a bit more out of it if you're getting mentioned back and forth for like say a couple of years when you come to fight. It's been built up on it, so regardless, it's going to be good and exciting.
100%. And I think sort of it's good to, in fights, to almost have seasoning in a way and sort of have where over time you think about how long it took for Mayweather and Pacquiao and, you know, Spence and Crawford and fights like that. So, you know, and you see now with Wood and Warrington, who are also in your division, they're fighting at a world level. So is it good that we can get domestic fights at a world level, which potentially could be yourself and Nathaniel?
Yeah, definitely. It's better than it because obviously the domestic, it's always better. They always feel like make for a good fight, but I feel like anyone who's coming up against me, they're in trouble, no matter who it is, and that's a fact. So, and I'm ready to show it.
And especially at a world level where it's so stacked in the featherweight division. There's so many names that you could list off that all deserve to be in so many good rankings. So yourself in and amongst them, you want to prove that you're the best. There's no better division to prove you're the best in than featherweight.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I wanted to sort of move on to was obviously, you know, we know your background, we know your heritage, you know, very, very proud from Liverpool, very, very proud Scouser, but it's not just yourself. Liverpool is such a great city with so many good fighters. So for yourself, what do you think it is about Scousers and people from Liverpool that, you know, make them so tough and make them such good fighters, not only in boxing but also in, you know, MMA as well?
Probably because we're so passionate about it. Do you get me? Like it's either one or two ways. Like you can this is positive in what we're doing. We're putting our energy and our things into fighting, and I feel like it is a big fighting city. So if we're gonna do it, we do everything 100% and be passionate about it. So that's a big factor. Like
And especially with yourself, where almost sort of, especially from Liverpool, there's so much togetherness in the city, and you think about how strong the city it is. So you look at other guys doing it, like you've seen, you know, I'm sure growing up, you saw the Smith brothers, so many other fighters sort of leading the way. And I know that you'd want that to be yourself one day, where people following your way. But is it good that there's such togetherness in the city that can make the fighters so good?
what's that? Sorry.
Is it like there's so much with togetherness in the city, everyone gets brought up together? So is it good to have that in a way?
Yeah, definitely, because it's no better feeling it is from where you're from, your hometown, the people getting behind you, and sticking with you and supporting you the whole way, your career and doing something that you love. Everyone behind you where you're from. It's no better feeling than that.
100%. And for myself, I just mentioned names there. You talk about the Smith brothers on another sport, obviously Darren Till as well, and you know, Tony Bellew. These are guys who all flown the flag for Merseyside and flown the flag for Liverpool. Do you want it to be your era one day and you bear the flag for Liverpool? You know, it's sort of you're only 26 now, so in the future, a couple of years, especially when you're at the top of the world level, you want to bear the flag for Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. I want to be selling out arenas like you know in the home city like the Echo Arena we've got there. We've even got Anfield. I definitely want to be selling out them and being the main man, yeah, with everyone behind me.
100%, definitely. Nick, just wanted to say thank you for your time. Really appreciate you talking to me, and yeah, all the best for the future, mate. It's good to catch up with you,
So, mate, thanks.
man.